I moved in 3 weeks ago. Third floor, creaking wood, the kind of place that smells like dust and leftover memories. The landlord said the previous tenant was an old man who disappeared, whatever that meant. Most of his stuff was gone, but not all of it. In the corner of the living room, next to a leaning bookshelf and a cracked window, sat an old radio set. Not just a plastic thing from the 90s. No, this one was big, heavy, wood-paneled, with dials the size of baby fists and a faded Phonex logo scratched into the metal grill. It looked like it had once belonged in a Cold War bunker or some war veteran's garage. I didn't touch it for days. Then one night, I couldn't sleep. The hum of the refrigerator felt too loud. The dark felt too still. So I drifted into the living room with a blanket over my shoulders, turned on a lamp, and stared at the radio like it might blink. I don't know what made me do it. Maybe boredom, maybe something else. But I reached for the dial. Click. A soft buzz filled the room. Static, layered like dust. Then a whine, high-pitched, painful. I twisted the knob slowly, feeling the resistance in the mechanism. The stations came and went. A jazz riff here, a talk show there, sudden silence. But somewhere past 92.7, something strange caught. A voice. No, not a voice. Many voices. It was faint at first, like eavesdropping on a conversation happening underwater. I leaned in. Didn't mean to leave the stove on. Blue sweater, the one you wore at prom. He's still waiting for you by the swing. The words weren't connected. They drifted in and out, like fragments from dreams or phone calls lost in time. Then came a sound. Footsteps, soft on hardwood floors. Then static. Then an old song I didn't recognize, but that made my chest ache in a way I couldn't explain. I looked at the dial. There was no label, just 93. No decimal, no station name, just channel 93. I turned the volume up. Now there were laughing children, a woman sobbing quietly, the sound of wind chimes in an attic. For a moment I could swear I heard my own voice say something. Don't forget the blue door. I sat back like I'd been slapped. I hadn't said that. Not out loud, not recently, but it felt familiar. I stared at the radio. The speaker wasn't crackling like normal. It pulsed almost like breath. The light on the tuner flickered erratically, like it was trying to communicate. I felt like I wasn't just listening. I was being heard. The room suddenly felt colder. Something about Channel 93 was wrong. Not evil, not yet, but out of place. Like it had slipped through a crack in the world and landed here, in my living room, waiting for someone like me to turn the dial. I should have turned it off. I didn't. The next night, I came back with a notebook and my phone recorder. I told myself it was curiosity, a weird audio anomaly, a glitch in the analog, something cool to post on a subreddit. But the truth was simpler. I couldn't stop thinking about it. The voices, the memories, the feeling that someone, or something, had whispered straight into a part of me I didn't know was still alive. I turned the dial. Channel 93 crackled on like it had never stopped. More fragments, a child singing, laughter and crying layered together, distant thunder and the unmistakable click of a Polaroid camera. Then softly, "You're gonna fall if you climb that tree again." My hand froze. That sentence. I hadn't heard it in 20 years. It was my mom's voice. Not her recent voice. Not the one worn down by time in hospitals. This was younger, brighter. I could see her in my mind, standing in our old backyard, hands on hips, while I clung to a branch too high up. There's no way. There's no possible way. The station shifted again. A door slammed. Footsteps running downstairs. Then a boy's voice out of breath. "I saved the green one for you. The green popsicle." I blinked hard. That was Sam, my best friend when I was 6. He died in a car crash with his dad. I hadn't thought about that summer in years. But there it was. His voice exactly as I remembered it, as if time had folded in on itself. My fingers trembled as I hit record. For hours I sat capturing fragments. I filled pages in the notebook. I started marking timestamps, categorizing them. At first it felt like research, but around 2:17 a.m. something changed. The voice came again. Don't forget the blue door. My own voice, clearer this time. I didn't remember saying it, not as a child, not ever. But it was me. I knew the shape of my words, the way I pause mid-sentence like I'm thinking too fast. I felt a wave of nausea, like hearing your own laugh at a funeral. I stopped the recording, played it back. It was still there. What was this? Was Channel 93 a loop of old broadcasts, a paranormal signal, a psychological trick? But no, the voices weren't random. They were memories, not just mine. I was starting to sense patterns. A woman naming places I'd never been to but felt familiar. A man begging someone to bring back the photographs. A child humming a melody that made my throat close. And worse, some voices were terrified, pleading, whispering things that sounded like apologies or last words, like they knew someone was listening and they were trying to get out. Channel 93 wasn't just a station, it was a vessel. I was picking up memory residue, forgotten thoughts, echoes of emotion, but it wasn't passive. The station was choosing what I heard. It was curating. It knew me. And somewhere deep inside, I began to wonder, if I kept listening, how much of myself would I lose? It was raining the next night, the kind of cold rain that made the city feel smaller, like it was folding in on itself. I shut all the windows, closed the curtains, sat in front of the radio like it was an altar. Same frequency, same strange heartbeat of static. I listened. Tonight it started differently. No footsteps, no fragmented laughter. Just silence, long and full like a breath before something terrible. Then, Daniel. I froze. No one had said my name on the radio before. I didn't even remember if I had told anyone here my name. I leaned in. The air in the room changed, sharp and electric. You've been listening too long. The voice wasn't a recording. It wasn't distorted or buried under layers of tape hiss. It was present, calm, steady, almost amused. My skin went cold. Hello? I whispered. I don't know why. Maybe some part of me hoped it would just fade, that I imagined it, that sleep deprivation had finally cracked me open. Still pretending this is science, the voice said. Still scribbling in your little notebook, as if labeling the echoes will make them less real. I dropped the pen in my lap. That's not a recording, I muttered. The voice chuckled, a dry, slow exhale that sounded too much like my own laugh. Smart boy. I stood up. My knees felt weak. Who are you? No answer. Just the low crackle of static and something in the background. Breathing, the shuffling of feet, a record spinning endlessly with no needle. I reached for the power switch. Don't! The word hit me like a command. Not loud, not angry, just absolute. You turn it off, Daniel, and the silence gets worse. You'll hear me anyway. At night, between thoughts. You'll dream in broadcasts. My fingers hovered above the dial. Why me? I asked. You kept listening. I swallowed. The voice shifted, softened, almost like it was sad. They all find the channel, one way or another. Most turn away. Some record it, like you. Fewer still answer back. Answer? Yes, the voice said gently. That's what I'm waiting for. The radio crackled. A sudden burst of overlapping memories surged through the speaker. A girl screaming, thunder, someone begging for forgiveness in a language I didn't understand. Then silence. And then, low and close. So, will you finally speak to me, Daniel? I couldn't move. My heart slammed against my ribs. I wasn't sure if I was breathing. The voice wasn't just on the radio anymore. It was in the room. No, worse, it was in me. I ripped the plug from the wall. The radio died with a hiss. The light on the dial blinked out. The room fell into darkness, except for the blue glow of the street lamp outside. Silence. No voices. No static. Just the blood in my ears, pounding like it was trying to warn me of something far too late. I backed away from the set, sat down, pressed both palms against my face and breathed, sharp and shallow. It was over. Whatever it was over. But then I heard it again. Not through the air, not in the room, inside. You shouldn't have done that. The voice came from nowhere, from the hollow behind my ribs, from the cracks in memory I thought were long healed. It wasn't sound anymore. It was presence. I stood, stumbled. My reflection in the window was pale and unfamiliar. My lips were moving. I wasn't speaking, but I was broadcasting. Images began to flood my mind. Not thoughts, not dreams. Memories, but not all of them mine. A woman dropping a red scarf into a river, a man carving initials into a tree, then crying for hours. A child whispering to an imaginary friend who whispered back. They came like waves, not as stories, and as fragments. Sentences, feelings, sounds. Like I had become the station. Like the signal had moved in and made me its tower. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. Just a whisper through the static. They're listening now. I dropped to my knees. My head throbbed. My mouth moved on its own. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not. My memories were being taken, played back, echoed outward. I felt something pulling, not physically, but like threads being unwound. I saw my mother's face, Sam's smile, the old backyard tree, the blue door, all of it dimming, becoming someone else's noise. And then the static faded. Silence. Not peace, not quiet. The silence of a channel that had nothing left to play. Somewhere far away, a young woman sits alone in a motel room. The air conditioner hums like a broken lullaby. She finds an old radio in the closet, dented and dusty. She plugs it in, turns the dial aimlessly. Jazz, country, silence, then channel 93. She pauses, turns the volume up. Don't forget the blue door. She frowns, the voice is a man's, calm, familiar, a little broken. Something in her chest tightens. She leans closer. She listens. End of transmission.